Okay. Gonna start in a second. Oh, I'm glad I didn't start right away. Yeah. Well, I'm really glad I put a buffer there. Cause yeah, the ads are on. Sorry, on my channel. Because it gives me a little money. So hopefully we get to a point where I don't have to have ads anymore on here. But thank you for hanging out with me. Nice to see ya. Let me put on more of this Casio. Basic. There we go. Yeah, I know. Gotta get that cash. It's pretty hard right now. Am I loud enough for you? How's the weather where you are? It is nice and sunny in New York, finally. Great. Who else is here? Who else is in the chat? Who is that? Welcome. I'll get through the business as quick as possible so that we can get to the really helpful food stuff. But obligations. So last time on the stream, we talked about how to cook multiple dishes at once. I went through a huge list of healthy, shelf-stable foods. We also talked about how to use miso, like the 3 different colors of them. White, light, white is light, excuse me. And then there's like a browner one, and then there's a red one. But basically we talked about miso and how to use it that isn't soup. Because, that's usually the first thing you think of when you think of miso. Whoa, it's actually really nice. About 57 degrees. Not so bad. Anyway, so you can watch all the clips from the previous stream here on my channel if you click on videos. Every time I end a stream, I spend the next hour highlighting all the very specific subjects so that you can very easily look for them and not have to watch the entire stream and scrub the entire video. But you should know that Twitch deletes streams after 2 weeks, and so I'm uploading the archive also the same night to youtube.com/JennDLV, JENNDLV, and that's where I'm putting the archive from Twitch, and I'm also putting my skate videos there on Mondays, which is very exciting. So thanks for joining here at 5. I know it's really early and before dinner, but this is like a non-competitive time against all the gamer friends that I have in the evening, so haha. But yeah, I'm a Twitch affiliate, just like we were talking about earlier. There are ads on this channel just so that, can help pay for this stream. I work on this pretty much all of Wednesday. I do a lot of research. I get a lot of photos. I have to resize them for OBS. I had to learn how to use OBS. I had to learn how to use Lightroom. There are all these things. And so any support you can give, either by watching the full ads, being a subscriber to this channel, or joining the Patreon. There are so many ways to help out. It's great. If you have Amazon Prime, I can't believe people still don't know about this, but if you have Amazon Prime, you get a free Twitch subscription. So that means you can gift a subscription for free every month to your favorite creators. It doesn't have to be me, but if it's me, hooray. Just click on the purple button. I think it's either above or below me, depending on where the new layout is. They still haven't completely launched this new layout, so it's a purple button that says gift a sub, and then you'll be able to connect to your Amazon Prime account and then give me a subscription, or whoever your favorite creators are. And then you get a little crown next to your name in the chat. It's very cute. Okay, for you it's top right. For me it's bottom right. Isn't that weird? Yeah, they haven't fully launched the new layout yet, so not everybody has the same screen. It's ridiculous. I know. This is how tech companies operate. Like Facebook and Instagram, they roll out maybe 20 different layouts, and then they test which ones are the most clicked on, and then they go with that one. It's very stupid. I hate it. Instead of, like, you know, doing actual research, they just make it live, and it makes everybody's lives miserable. Hi, Emily! Hey, everybody, Emily's here! If you don't know who Emily is, you should follow her on YouTube. She's a makeup YouTuber, and also a great cook. And my friend. Okay. So there's an Amazon module below the video here if you are curious about any of the ingredients we talk about. Like, I already added tamarind that we're going to talk about today. There's food grade lye, there's barley, all sorts of things if you're interested in it. You don't have to use Amazon, but if you do click through that module, it does send me some cents every time you buy things from it. So I get it's complicated, like, don't worry about it, but just know the previous list of ingredients is down there. So what else? Patreon, making so much stuff. I already told you videos, skate videos are going up on Mondays. It's kind of strange to think about. Like, I'm at a cumulative skating of 2 weeks, but it's been like 8 weeks. I only go like once or twice a week, so I've just been it's a very slow process, but I feel like I'm getting better and being safe and all these things. So you can watch my progression on YouTube. I'm also uploading them here to Twitch, but it's offset by a couple weeks, so it'll be faster on YouTube. We have a new episode of Fun City, the Shadowrun podcast. I'm on this Friday. It is, you know, our podcast episodes are always pretty silly. Yeah, this one is about infiltrating a startup. So, I mean, I'm very sensitive about startups right now, so sorry, my phone is buzzing. Oh goodness. Shush phone. Okay, so Fun City, Fridays. Every other Friday we have episodes, and then all the alternating Fridays we have a show called Fun Chatty where we talk about behind the scenes. And the last episode of Fun Chatty I really want to bring to your attention. Like, if you're not a fan of the podcast, or, you know, maybe you should check it out, you know, but we don't just play games, we don't just talk about games. The last episode of Fun Chatty, we talked about racism in tabletop RPGs, specifically when it came to orcs. There's a history of anti-Asian sentiment when it comes to orcs. They were modeled after Asian people, which is really offensive. And so a lot of people are reckoning with what that means when they play the games and the characters they've built for years. And so we get into the nitty-gritty of, you know, what is it like to be a person of color in 2020, playing games? What is it like being not person of color and reckoning with all of his information? So there are a lot of helpful things you can do. Most of all, it's listen, pay attention to your friends, consider what other people think about, you know, identity. But anyway, it's really important to me, and I thought that episode was particularly great when we really dug into it. I started a new stream, so I'm not just doing this on Wednesdays with food. On Sundays at 12 p.m. Eastern, around lunchtime, I'm starting a casual stream about zines, because I'm the editor-at-large of Put an Egg on It, and I realized after I gave a talk last week that people have so many questions about publishing, and I don't know. I read through 2 issues of zines from my library and then answer questions about how do I make a zine? What are the different formats? Like, how do you lay things out? How do you curate? Like, those are things that, like, I love talking about besides food. So if you want to join me on Sundays, we'll talk zines and hopefully make some collaboratively, right? Wouldn't that be fun? Don't forget, on Patreon, I have a free pantry guide. So your friends don't have to be members. They can just read it for free. It's a living guide of all of the really big cooking articles I've written, plus like a whole list of every ingredient in my pantry and everything you can do with them. And so if there's an item missing from it, you should message me, DM me, email me, and I will add it. And I will give you lots of ideas. And so it's a living resource for you. It's free. I just want people to cook well and for themselves, like during this difficult time. I don't know. Yeah, I can't really cater. I can't really deliver food. So the next best thing is that I can help people learn how to cook. Yeah. Emily says, I need to check out the Fun City Patreon because the one fun chat y'all dropped in the mainstream was delight. Yes, that was really fun because it was with our first guest, Anthony Carboni, who is a dear old friend of mine. And his episode is actually coming up in 2 weeks. So get ready for that. Yeah, Fun Chatty is always fun, right? And it'd be great if you joined me on Sundays. I would love it. Yeah, so one of the last big guides that I wrote was how to use up a whole can of tomato paste. Like, it's really deceiving that, like, tomato paste is, like, this small, and you're like, that's not a lot of stuff. But it's so potent. It's like 20 tomatoes in one little thing. And so it takes forever to use it up. And usually most people, forget about it in the fridge, and it grows mold, and, like, it's this really sad can. And so I wrote a whole post about how to use all of it, how you can preserve it, and I even did a lot of experiments like dehydrating it, which is pretty amazing. Excuse me. Allergies are killing me. Are allergies killing any of you? Sorry. So, also, so I keep talking about ads and subscriptions and Patreon, but I totally understand all of us are going through, some kind of hardship, be it layoff or financial or all these things. So you don't feel obligated to join any of these memberships. It's just here so you know this is how I keep things running. I'm happy to share free resources with you. Just ask, like, really, literally, just ask me. So yeah, don't worry. Information should never be, taken away from you. But what else? So last week I posted a preview on my Patreon of Culinary Word of the Day. It's really exciting. I should get working on episode 2 soon. I also put up a poll for helping me choose the logo. There's also a recipe for banana jam that went up today. That is literally the first thing in all of 2020 that made me scream yum in my house. Like, I took a bite of this banana jam and I was like, whoosh, flung all the way back to childhood. I don't know. I ate a lot of bananas when I was little. I had banana shakes. I remember the taste of banana baby food. I don't know why I remember that. But banana jam, super, super easy. It's in my Patreon. Hooray. There's also a recipe for Korean egg custard, which is super fun. It makes me miss Korean barbecue restaurants, but, in due time. And on my website, also for free, this is for free, I have a recipe for pan-fried steak. So if you want, a ribeye or a New York strip steak one day, you can have it in less than 15 minutes. 15 minutes is not so bad, right? Not so bad. I was talking about Culinary Word of the Day. You can follow it on Twitter. It's Culinary WOTD. And there's a Google Doc that is pinned to the top. Like, I need help coming up with words that you all want to learn about in the culinary world. I have 7 categories that I'm trying to cover, and some of them are like agriculture, restaurants, really technical cooking terms, international. So if you know a word that's like from your family or from your experience, like, I'd love to share it and like look into like where it comes from and how people use it around the world. I also added a Patreon tier to get a shout out on that podcast. So woohoo, lots of podcasts. But that's what I'm working on. It's really fun. I'm such a nerd. Yeah. Excuse me. So many allergies. All right, let's look at what I did this week. Oh, so coming up in the week on Tuesday, I'm catering the Tank Gala. So I'm on the board of directors of this nonprofit, and usually we have like a huge dinner on the stage of the theater, and I come out there with big platters of food, and it's really fun. But this year, we can't do that. So we've turned the gala into an hour-long cook-along at 6 o'clock, and then at 7 o'clock there's like an actual show. So we have like bands, we have the cast of Broadway Hadestown singing a number, we have Dennis O'Hare doing a monologue, Tanya Pitkins doing a monologue, or doing a song, excuse me. And so there are a lot of like really great theater people and bands playing Tuesday night during the stream. So the donation starts at $30. I know that's pretty steep, but considering that gala dinners are usually like $500 a plate, that's pretty good. So that's what I'm doing Tuesday night. It's really exciting. We're making Filipino food. So I'm going to be teaching people step by step how to do it. I wrote a huge guide for it. I'm really proud of it. But yeah, that's next Tuesday. Let's see, what is next? Oh, this is what I had for breakfast. This is, so King Arthur flour. I start laughing when, that I'm gonna say something crazy. So, King Arthur flour has a recipe for Russian black bread. And I, didn't have half of the ingredients, but I was determined. I have like a kitchen lab, so I have lots of weird things that can make up for other things. So it called for lots of bread flour. So I don't have specifically bread flour. I have all-purpose, but then I also have vital wheat gluten from when I was trying to make seitan. So all-purpose plus vital wheat gluten kind of equals bread flour, which has a higher gluten content, if you think about the difference between the two flours. It worked. Haha. I did not have cocoa powder, and I do not like coffee, which is what makes the Russian black bread so dark. Instead, I put in Ovaltine, and so this bread has this strange flour mixture, Ovaltine, and molasses, and so it is in a way sweet, but not too sweet. It's really dense, and I really like it. So if you want to try the recipe out, go to King Arthur Flour's recipe website and look for the Russian black bread. And those are the swaps I made, but if you just make it more directly, it will it will turn out for you. I know, I'm such a nut. But this is my Ovaltine bread with banana jam, strawberries, and blueberries. Yum. Breakfast. So easy. This was last night's dinner. This was leftover lamb shank that I braised the other night. These are, what are they? Flour vermicelli. So flour-based noodles with cabbage and blue oyster mushrooms. Excuse me. So, Emily, what you had in your pantry was rice vermicelli, and so it's like clearer. These are flour vermicelli, which are opaque, and only need to be cooked for 30 seconds, which is insane, because most noodles take like 10 minutes, right? But flour vermicelli should only be submerged for 30 seconds, or if you have like a bowl of soup, you drop them in, wait, and then eat. So, or they're dipped. So, this was a really good soup. I loved it. A+, would recommend. So there's a close-up of the bread that I had. This is just butter. And people were asking me, like, how do you get the little butter ruffle like that? So I keep my butter at room temperature in a butter crock. And so the stick is always soft. And I keep it covered. It's like a blue Le Creuset. Actually, I'll go get it and show you. Where is it? This is my butter holder. So I keep my butter at room temperature, and the way you get a ruffle is not by slicing it, Like you see your stick of butter, you don't slice it. You run the knife over the top and then if you angle it a little bit, you'll get like a coney ruffle. So this is how you get ruffles from butter. I know, Emily, room temperature butter is the only way to do it. Otherwise, it's going to be hard and you have to wait for it to soften. It's not fun. But I've been enjoying this bread. I froze half of it. It takes me a week to finish half a loaf of bread. I don't eat a lot of bread. Or I try not to eat a lot of bread. I don't know. This is... So, I have, like, a bulk amount of rye berries. We talked about these a long time ago. They're a lot like barley. They're just a little bit more chewy. So I have a bulk bag of this stuff. And the other day, I kind of just... I wasn't thinking, you know, I'm just so used to cooking for so many people that when I make a batch of anything, it's meant for like 4 or 8 people, but I'm the only one over here, so I made like a bucket of rye berry. Like, I just kind of thoughtlessly put it in the thing and cooked it, and then when I opened it, I was like, uh-oh, and it was like, you know, 4 quarts. So I've been trying so hard to eat these rye berries, and that's actually why I made the bread, because I put a whole cup of whole grains of these into the bread. That was one way to use it up. So I've just been eating these breakfast and dinner and lunch, like, grain bowls. I'm very sick of grain bowls right now. So these are rye berries, a little bit of fennel frond, olive oil, urfa pepper, which is delicious. So if you like... I don't know, if you like a little spice, but not as much as cayenne, urfa pepper is, like, nice and, like, smoky and flavorful. Like, I really like it. And it's not as intense as chipotle. I love chipotle, but, you know, urfa is more of a everyday, like, put it on anything, like, everyday kind of pepper. So, it's tempered here by the cucumbers, and I grated a piece of garlic in the Greek yogurt on top. So that is, like, one of my favorite things to do. So I'll take one of those, like, individual yogurt, like, plain yogurt cups, like, no vanilla flavor, and just grate garlic into it, and then put a little salt and pepper, and that's just my garlic sauce dressing for the week. Like, just one little thingy. Yeah, it works. This is more lamb soup with grains. And then more cabbage in there, and then a little float of ramp pesto. I'm still working on the ramp pesto. I made it like a week ago, and I need to be done with it. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh, I think I screenshot of this somewhere. I feel like maybe it didn't get in here. Dang. Well, anyway, my friend Janice texted me the other day and asked if they could drop by and give me some vegan cupcakes, and I was like, yes. And so I got my mask on and, like, hung out on the stoop, and Janice came up and, like, contactlessly gave me cupcakes and took my picture, and the article is in Vice. It's called Janny's Delivery Service, and she wrote this whole essay about how can we continue to connect with people without technology during quarantine. And, you know, it can get really tiring to watch these streams and, like, be on Zoom every day. So I totally understand, like, screen fatigue. And she's onto something, you know? Like, for people who aren't as compromised as me, who can, you know, go out there and, like, contactlessly drop things, it really makes somebody's day. Like, she wrote about volunteering for a mutual aid group in her neighborhood, and it was really moving when she brought groceries to this woman who really hadn't seen anybody in, like, months. And so, yeah, there are still ways that we can connect with people and, like, be human, and Janice is doing, like, an amazing thing. I love it. And it reminds me, you know, of where Randwiches comes from. For those of you who don't know, like, Randwiches, my handle on anything, comes from this project where I used to deliver random sandwiches to people all over New York City. And so that is in the spirit of what I do and how I love to feed people. So, yeah, good story. What else? This was a fail. This was my fail. This is a fail from last week. So Emily and I were making a lot of roti, which is a flatbread, for a wedding. And we put a lot of the scraps in the freezer because, I don't know if you know this, but bread dough freezes really well, especially if it doesn't have any yeast in it. I think this one did, but it's like not a lot, right? I don't remember. Anyway, so it's a flatbread, and I saw like Emily helped me research this, but like we discovered on Twitter there was a roti or like a pancakey type thing stuffed with egg. Some of you may have seen it on my Twitter feed. And so we broke down the steps and tried to figure it out. And when I went to pour my egg into the center of my bread, it overflowed. But it still came out as one disc, and so I still could cut it. Like, you can see the ring of egg that flowed out of it. It is delicious, though. Like, it has chopped up cilantro, a little bit of fish sauce, salt and pepper, and the flatbread in the middle, so it was, like, crunchy. This is delicious. I loved it. I'll try to perfect it. Yeah. So that's what I've been up to, friends. I missed doing this last week because I think I was a little flustered by the technical things about OBS and Twitch and streaming, because it can get really, like, you know, it can get dicey in here. Like, things can break. Yeah, last week when we were trying to stream with Fun City, we like broke so many things. We broke Discord, we broke YouTube, we broke like all these things. And so I got flustered last week and we skipped over all of the dishes and food things that people sent me over text and email and on Twitter. So this is going to be a little bit longer than usual, but here are all the things my friends have made this week. So Dylan made a shakshuka, which is tomato sauce simmered, and then you bake eggs in it in the oven, and then he sprinkled spinach on top. Isn't that beautiful? Don't you want to just poke toast into it and like eat it? Yeah. These are Jeff's meatballs. This looks so healthy. Every time Jeff texts my friends, like we have a group text, every time he texts a photo, we're like, God damn it, Jeff. First of all, your light is beautiful. Second of all, it looks so healthy. The rest of us are like eating, you know, ramen still, which is totally acceptable and fine, but like, rub it in, why don't you? I'm just kidding. What else? This is Jeff's pie. Like, Jeff is killing it this week. He's got pie and meatballs. Damn, Jeff. This is JV's sourdough starter. So a whole like pod of my friends are starting their sourdough in the next week, which is exciting for you. But I tend to shy away from long-term cooking projects like this because my fridge space can be unpredictable. I know that you don't refrigerate sourdough starter. I sort of think that we can experiment and explore other breads that are faster and more practical. Because, you know, a sourdough you have to wait for a long time. Like, we can do scallion pancakes or roti or naan. Those, I think, I will get to faster. That is my priority. I don't know if the whole sourdough pet thing is for me. Like, I tried doing a nukazuke, which is a Japanese style of pickling, and it's like this. You have to, like, stir it every day, and it produces pickles every day, and so I couldn't really keep up with the production of it. Like, hooray, I had millions of pickles, but, like, who's gonna eat all these pickles, you know? I'm alone. I can't do it. Okay, that's JV's sourdough, baby. So on Patreon, I mail my thank you cards and stickers. So this is what Robert got in the mail, which is really cute. Thanks for taking a picture of it. Our friend Sarah showed me this photo, and she was like, what are these? And Emily and I were like texting back and forth, like, wait, what is that? I don't know. And so we were Googling, and we found out that these are dead nettles. I was like, why would a CSA not warn you that there are nettles in your box? But it turns out dead nettles don't have the stingers. And they are great for tea. They are perfectly sauteed, and they're like a green, like kale, but they don't have that strong kale taste. A little more delicate, nice mouthfeel. Yeah. Dead nettles. It's kind of crazy. They look kind of crazy. Tris sent in this photo of his lion's mane mushroom. Okay, last time I saw it, it was just like one little cauliflower. You know what I mean? But now it's like a full-on tribble. Look at that thing. It's huge. Huge, huge. Good job. Tris got this from Smallhold, which is the only organic mushroom farm in Brooklyn, and they deliver kits like this for $15 each. It's really affordable, and you get like heads of mushroom like that after a week. It's amazing. This is Keen's cauliflower, like battered and fried cauliflower. Exciting. Keen was really experimenting last week. This is noodles with sauteed garlic and butter, the butter ranch powder from my Etsy shop, and then the pan deglazed with rice wine. That all sounds great. Great combination. Because the ranch powder has dill and tarragon. And so all of those flavors go so well together, and it mixes with butter, and like butter adheres to pasta really well. And so good thinking. Like, I love that. It's so cool. Oh no. I know. So these are Kate's buns. My friends Kate and Anthony just started a bun delivery service starting on Saturdays in Brooklyn only. Sorry, everyone. I think one of these... Okay, so one of them is barbecue mushroom, and the other one is dandan flavored. No, so there's no dandan noodles inside, but it's a dandan flavored, which is really exciting. And I love these buns. They remind me of... in the Philippines, we have, it's called siopao, and I don't remember which Chinese area it is, but they're also called chao su bao, or bao buns. You know, these are not steamed, but they're baked, and they have an egg wash, but they're super fluffy, and they rise, like, with lots of yeast, and they're super savory and good. Kate also made pizza, that King Arthur flour pan pizza. And that is Laika in the background, the only cat that I like. No, one of two cats that I like. Yeah, I don't really like cats. I'm allergic to them. But Laika is one of my cats that I like. And then Hugo is the other cat that I like, which is Angela's cat. Yeah, those buns do look like kolaches, don't they? But I think kolaches just have, like, the wider, and they're connected, too. Like, they're squarey and connected. And they have, like, the divot for filling. But yeah, that is Laika and the pan pizza. What else? Do we have any more? Oh, okay. Those are the last of the submitted photos. So if you want to see your photo here and show and tell, like, DM me, send it to me, tag me. I will happily put your photo on the stream. Yeah. Cool. Let's change the music, because I want to get into the... Let's get into the meat of the stream. Emily asks, Blue Oyster versus Lion's Mane, what shrooms would you recommend? You're thinking of buying the Smallhold Grow Kit. Okay. I will say, volume-wise, the Blue Oyster is a lot more. But for one person, it might be too much. I dried half of mine. If you've never had lion's mane, I would probably get the lion's mane, because it's like seafood. It's like lobster, or crab. Like it has a striation of chicken, but it has like a seafoody, like, full taste, which is really interesting. I had been just either steaming it when I made rice, or sauteing it just very slowly in butter and pepper. And it's just pretty good like that, but I hadn't really innovated farther after that. So Kate has been experimenting with making like lion's mane katsu and like lion's mane chicken nuggets. My friend Adam, who runs Smallhold, he deep fries them. And so they're like deep fried cauliflower texture, which is really interesting. You just have to make sure to cook the lion's mane fully because they can have like a medicinal taste in your mouth if you don't cook them long enough. So you'll know, if you didn't cook them long enough. I have a guide on my website that's like free, so you can check that out. I mean, if you Google lion's mane mushroom or how to cook lion's mane mushroom, my website comes up. It's pretty funny. You're welcome. I mean, if you want like more volume, more bang for your buck than the blue oyster, for sure. But I think the lion's mane is more fun and more people need to learn how to cook it. And so if you can come up with some recipes and post them, people will want them. All right. How is everybody doing? Are you all okay? You hanging in there? What'd you have for lunch today? Just while I prepare my my next thing. I know Matt said the volume was okay. Is the volume okay, Emily? Can you tell me if this music is too loud or... Aw, I'm sorry to hear that. Volume is good. Great. I know, this time is like really tough for all of us. Like, I lost a really big project yesterday, so I was not happy about it. But... gotta move on to the next thing, adjust, take breaks, talk to friends, check on other people. I find for me, checking on other people helps me feel better about like whatever's happening with me because I can focus on something else, someone else's thing. So I hope things get better for you, and I hope things get better for all of us. But I'm here for you, here to answer your food questions at least. It's the least I can do. So let's talk about food. After I drink this water. So today we're gonna cover tamarind, pasta water, and salmon fillets. Hey Jimmy, what's up? Oh man, I'm really sorry about that. That sucks. Jimmy. My friend Jimmy's in the chat, everybody. Jimmy is a fellow chefy, and we met at one of my best friend's bachelor parties. And yes, I was at a bachelor party. Oh, you guys are so nice. All right, let's talk about tamarind. Okay, so Ethan emailed me last week. This one actually took me a while because a lot of the time when I'm on this stream, when people ask me questions, I'm just like off the cuff, like blah, 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 and I have so much information in my head. But sometimes we reach an ingredient that I know nothing about. So I had to look it up. Gosh damn it. So Ethan emailed, do you by any chance happen to know of a good use for tamarind paste? So he used it for a turkey recipe that he actually didn't like very much, and so he was stuck with this packet of tamarind paste in his pantry, and he's kind of stumped. And so I was very honest with him. I was like, I actually haven't used a whole package before. Has anyone ever used a whole package of tamarind paste before? I highly doubt it. Because tamarind is so potent, I've only ever had like tiny, tiny bits of it mixed into things. For me, that is in the dish sinigang, which is Filipino fish stew with tamarind, tomato, onion, and bok choy. And I never knew that sour note of the soup was tamarind until like way later I read some ingredient off of a easy, packet. There's this brand called Mamacitas that a lot of Filipino families use, and I looked at the ingredients and I was like, tamarind! Huh! Interesting. So, I dove deep into tamarind. So tamarind paste is from the fruit or pods of a tamarind tree. They kind of look like if you take a pea pod and blow it up like this big. It's really bulbous. You can see like the pea seeds, but it's brown. And the outside's a little like hollow brittle. Anyway, there's a pulp that surrounds the seeds, and so that's tamarind. So it's a common fruit tree native to Africa, but now it grows all over Asia and in Mexico. Let's see, they're dark, reddish brown. You might see them at Latin American supermarkets, like sold whole, or you might find it in a plastic packet packed tight or in a jar. So the fruit is removed from the pods and must be separated from the seeds in order to become like this ready to cook paste thing. It's also known as tamarindo or Indian date. It's high in tartaric acid, which explains why it's so like sour and tart. It's in the legume family, or Fabaceae. I think that's how I say it, Fabaceae. Alongside peas, lentils, and peanuts. Let's see. So it's high in vitamin C. That's great. It is used to break a fever and cool down your body in tropical climates. So that's why there are jugos, so like tamarind juices. You might find those at like Mexican restaurants and things like that. It's supposed to help you with digestive issues, relieve sore throat, and alleviate sunstroke. So I think I'm gonna incorporate tamarind into my like summer drinks. That sounds really good. Yeah. So if you were stuck with a whole packet of tamarind paste, you know, you're only using like teaspoon at a time for things, this is how you would sort of attack it, right? Start adding it to marinades because it's a tenderizer. Much like pineapple and papaya, they have a really high acid content, so it'll break down fibers really easily for you. You can make a drink with 5 ounces of the paste, half cup of sweetener to, you know, take down that tart, scary, sour taste, and then you add maybe 6 to 7 cups of water depending on how you like it. On Serious Eats, I saw a tamarind caramel sauce. Let's see. With fish sauce, sugar, and vinegar. That is the basis of pad thai. You know, those like orange Thai noodles? Yeah. There's also a recipe on Castaway Kitchen for tamarind barbecue sauce. It makes sense because a lot of, you know, middle of the country, or no, like Kansas City's barbecue sauce has like lots of tomato and like fruit in it. It makes sense. There's a little bit of fish sauce. So I already know in my head that tamarind goes really well with fish. And so fish sauce, tamarind, and a barbecue sauce with tomato makes perfect sense. You can make tamarind chutney. You can add a little bit to any chili, curry, or dal for like a rich sour note. You can also add it to tomato-based soups and stews, and even that shakshuka that I showed you earlier. So, Food 52 had a huge list of things that you can do with it. So you can thin it with milk, sweeten it with confectioner's sugar, and use it to glaze a pound cake or banana bread. You can stir together the liquid ingredients before you're making granola, so like tamarind and maple, and then like put it over your granola and then bake that. Wow. You can stir it into beef bourguignon. You can put it in gingerbread cake, chocolate cake. Just like I would only add like a little bit, like teaspoon. Like if you just put your pinky in it and taste it, you'll be like, whoa, y'all. This is really funny. Emily and I and our friend Sarah have been talking about pomegranate molasses a lot recently, and you can actually replace pomegranate molasses with a thinned out version of tamarind and water. Great. You can add it to cocktails. At Pok Pok, they serve a tamarind whiskey sour. So that's bourbon, lime juice, tamarind paste, and simple syrup. Y'all, that sounds so good. I want one right now. But more practically, tamarind you can throw into a stir fry, splash it into a noodle soup, anywhere that would benefit from a squeeze of lime. If you think about that, like anything that could use a sour note, you can probably put tamarind. You can also roast vegetables with it. I wouldn't do it at the very beginning because the vegetables need to, sweat out their water on the inside. What is it? Their moisture. Their water on the inside. What's wrong with me today? So I would start roasting some vegetables, and then halfway through your cook time, that's when you would, brush on some tamarind mixed with water, and then stick it back in there to crisp up. So does anyone else in the chat know more about tamarind? Emily says, I'm super unfamiliar with working with tamarind, but you're inspiring me. Oh, good. And Jimmy says it's super cooling. Yeah. I would really love a jarritos with the tamarind flavor. That would be so good right now. I know I can't handle that much sweet all the time, but every once in a while, when it's really hot. Oh, I don't want. That's too much. Y'all. Yo, too fast. Just changing the Casio back here. Alright, any other thoughts about tamarind? Those are all the things that I could find about tamarind so far. That was for Ethan. Alright, we answered one food question. I'm gonna put an egg on me. Love these eggs. So the next question, Steven asked about pasta water. So there's a lot about pasta water I want to say. So, actually, oops, I forgot to show you. This is what a tamarind looks like. This is a young tamarind. It's a little green still. When they're sold in stores, they are brown. A little more dried out. But we're going to talk about pasta. Pasta water, specifically. So, in the pasta making process, when you're making fresh pasta, you can see this guy's hand is covered in flour. So for it to not dry out or stick to each other, you put more flour on top of it. Or you put cornstarch, or not cornstarch, semolina, to keep it, from sticking while it's cooking. And so when you're cooking with fresh pasta and with dry pasta, the water gets a lot of this starch that comes off of it. And this is like that huge secret, there were a lot of articles going around in like 2015 about why isn't my pasta the same as it is at Olive Garden? And this is like the trick. Like, it's so silly. And a lot of like Food Network chefs have been giving this away. And it's not something to be given away. Like, everybody should be doing it. Yeah. So, you should keep your pasta water for making your pasta sauces better. So, yeah. So when you cook pasta in that boiling water, so that's doing a couple things, right? The bubbles that are boiling is like a physical, it's physically like pushing that starch off the surface of the pasta. That's number one. Like the extra the starch that's on the outside of it. And then also, because pasta is like, it's hydrating, right? And when water goes into a semi-impermeable like surface or membrane, it's more of an exchange, it's not quite a sponge, a sponge that soaks up liquid. It's exchanging more starch with the water on the outside. So the water, after you've taken the pasta out, has all this like cloudy, starchy stuff. Like you'll notice if the pot boils over, it has bubbles and scum on the top. That is all starch. Like, this is like a valuable thing. And I know that you're making a lot of byproduct from one batch of pasta, so there are other things that you can do with the water besides making sauce. So for me, when I'm making like I don't make the whole box because that's just me at home. So for every like a half box of pasta, I save like maybe half a cup of the pasta water to incorporate into my sauce. So how do you do that? So after you've taken your pasta out, you save some water and you have your pan again. You put the sauce that you're gonna be working with, even a pesto, this works with a pesto. You put the sauce that you're working with, heat it up, add the pasta water, let it, evaporate a little bit, and then add the pasta, and then it will just like magically glue together. It'll stick to the pasta better. It's amazing. It's amazing. And because if you salted your pasta water beforehand, you don't really have to add salt later. It's great. Genius. But there are other things that you can do with this magical pasta water. So when it cools down completely, it still has a lot of starch in it, so you can use it in pizza dough recipes. You can put it in potato soup, which has another kind of starch, like potato starch. You can put it in mashed potatoes instead of dairy. So if you're like not if you don't have dairy in your diet, like using pasta water in your mashed potatoes makes sense. You can use it to make gravy. You can use it to constitute stews and chili, so you don't waste things. I've only really been successful at repurposing, I don't know, I would say a quart of my pasta water, because the starch, now that it's in the water, is activated and alive, and it can start to smell and get gummy after a couple days. So if you are going to save your pasta water, you should use it as soon as possible, or within like 2 days. Yeah. And similarly, when you boil eggs, that water also still has a bunch of nutrients, like, because eggshells have a lot of vitamins for like the chicken that was supposed to be there. I'm sorry, that was really sad, but also true. That water, when you boil eggs, has all those nutrients, and so both pasta water and hard-boiled egg water, you can cool down and use it to water plants. Great. Yeah. It's a sustainable thing to do. Nice. That deserves a drum fill. No, that wasn't much of a drum fill. Come on. Let's change it up. Yeah. Drum fill. I'm being ridiculous. Alright, friends. That is pasta water. Do you have any other advice or thoughts about pasta water? I mean, it could apply to any noodle water, really. Yeah, just like buckwheat noodles, why they serve it. Yeah. Here's another, let's see, I think this was another close-up of pasta. Yeah, you can see, like, there's all this, like, starchy texture on these rigatoni. Look at that. Is that rigatoni? Was that wrong? I'm sorry. All right. That was another ingredient. Let's put another egg on me. Oh, let's put a different egg. This egg. Egg on my shoulder. These eggs were made by my friend, Rachel, who goes by the name Drip. She's a great pixel artist, and so I have a lot of pixel eggs all over this channel. Haha! So, for our last question of the day, Carol asked about salmon fillets. And, yeah, great question. So, the salmon fillets that we get in the store, I'm not going to really go deep about salmon because this is very specific. So the salmon fillets that we get in the store are usually not toward the ends of the fish, because the ends of the fish are like really thin. Fillet is more of like a belly situation. It's like thicker. It has a thicker connotation. So salmon come from, fresh water. They're in the same family as char, grayling, trout, and whitefish. They're classified, technically, I was surprised by this, as an oily fish. And usually I think of mackerel when I think of oily fish, because I think of stink. But, you know, I love stink, so. But, yeah, they're in the same classification of oily fish as mackerel. Fascinating. Fascinating. Salmon comes from the Latin salmo and salire, meaning to leap. Great. Contains a lot of protein, omega-3 fatty acids, and vitamin D. So vitamin D is super important now because we're spending so much time indoors. Vitamin D is sunlight, basically, so this is a great source. It's no complete replacement for sunlight, but, you know, it helps. So salmon meat can range from orange to red. Wild salmon tends to get carotenoids, kind of like beta carotene from carrots, like that orange color. And it's not from eating carrots. Salmon don't eat carrots. It's from eating krill and other tiny shellfish that might be more in like the wild waters of Alaska. Yeah. So a lot of salmon, you know, unless you ask, like, unless you go to a direct, like, fishmonger or person, a lot of it has probably been previously frozen, especially ones that come from really far away. Alaska's really far away. Things need to be air-shipped, and most of the time it needs to be frozen, and that's okay. Like, fish is allowed to be frozen. Just be aware of how many times a fish has been frozen, because every time it defrosts and then gets frozen again and defrosts, we are passing through that food safety danger zone. Like, Jimmy and Emily know about this, that we have a danger zone that we try to avoid when preparing food. So that is between 40 degrees and 140 degrees. So food should always be stored below 40 degrees or cooked above 140. And I know that there are foods and steaks that, like, fall in between there, but hopefully you're getting them from, like, good places and, you know, they were raised from, like, good stock so that, you know, you're not really hurting yourself or risking any cross-contamination. But most of the time, some fish, especially if it's from far away, has been previously frozen. So I won't necessarily recommend curing pre-packed salmon fillets. And when you package things individually, it just kind of implies more plastic, more preparation, more people touching it. And so I wouldn't risk, like, curing that, you know? I would cure salmon that is butchered right in front of you, from a place that you trust, caught locally, you know? So really pay attention to that stuff so that you don't really get any parasites. Yeah, Emily says, I hate/love. Your brain thinks of Archer every single time you hear danger zone. Oh no, Jimmy. Hopefully you can come back or catch me next week. But glad to see you for a second. So going back to salmon. So fish. I'm like really bad at cooking fish. But I found a few ways that I like to make salmon, because salmon is probably one of the easier fish to get into. A lot of the times when it's sold in a store, it does not have bones, or it's been already like picked of its pin bones for you. But whenever you do, or you're unsure about it and you wonder if there are bones in it, just take the fillet and look for the dotted spine. You're going to see it in the orange. You know, it's going to have wavy lines from the muscle striation. Those wavy lines are the white fat of the fish. And I'm being an idiot. I have photos of this. Why am I not showing you? That's pasta. That's not fish. That's not the fish I wanted to show you. This is the fish I wanted to show you. So you see, okay, this is too big to be a salmon fillet. I would say that a fillet is half of this, half the length. But you can see like the white lines, that white squiggle. That is fat. Salmon is soft and luxurious because of that fat when it melts down as you're cooking. This person has cut it off, but along the long side of this salmon, there's usually the spine, and it's marked by a bunch of dots. You'll see it. And so what you can do is take the salmon in your hand, sort of bend it backwards, like you're like bending it this way, and then run your hand over the spine. And if you can feel bones, then you can feel where they are. So you can just take a pair of tweezers or pliers and like pull them out yourself. But I like to lean like an upside down plate so that it will arch its back a little bit so you can like easily pull out bones. But most of them that are prepackaged or vacuum sealed individually will already be cleaned of bones. Great. So yeah, this is too big to be a fillet. I will tell you that. This is more of the appropriate fillet size. Yes. So fish is hard to transport whenever I cook it, you know, like it can get stuck to the pan. This is why I don't really do high heat fish cooking in a pan. Whenever I bake it, I lay down some parchment paper or foil so I can just like shimmy it onto a platter. And a fancy tool you can get besides like a regular spatula is a fish spatula. It's much longer and it has a little bit more flexibility, and so you can like scoot a long spatula underneath it. But to get around that, I always use parchment paper or foil on my baking sheets. And so there are several ways to approach baking salmon fillets. So one of them is to bake it at 425 degrees Fahrenheit for every ½ inch of thickness. It's kind of like, you know, when you're making a Thanksgiving turkey. For every poundage, you cook it for X amount of minutes. So for every ½ inch of thickness on a salmon, you cook it 4 to 6 minutes. So 4 on the lower end of things is for rare. You know, if you like more of like a sushi texture, it's still cooked on the outside, but it has like a very like tender inside. And then 6 minutes is for like well done, like flaky all the way through. And so you know when it's done when it flakes with a fork really easily. So if you stick a fork in it and it doesn't like immediately come off and flake, then it needs a little bit more time, or it's a little rare on the inside. If you're going to be using a thermometer, you want an internal temperature of 145 degrees Fahrenheit. When I was first starting to learn how to cook, like it was hard to keep track of all of those temperatures. But you know, after a while, you sort of get used to it. So I know in my mind that fish is 145, chicken is 165, you know. A well-done steak is 165, and I never want to get there. Anyway, so that's like a basic approach to baking salmon fillets. But the next way that I like is to combination bake and broil. It's a 2-step method. So what I do is I lay a whole side of salmon on a parchment paper, dot the whole thing with butter. This is fun, right? Bake it at 350 degrees for 20 minutes. So this is like a lower temperature for longer because I want to really get all that fat like melting in the fish. And then I let it cool. Like, I prefer this way because I don't know sometimes when I'm going to be sitting down to dinner with people. And so right before dinner is starting, I crank the broiler really high and broil the whole side of salmon for 2 minutes to brown the top. And so, like, it looks cool, too. Like, it already reached the temperature that we want it to be fully cooked. But then now I'm just, you know, heating it for service. That's kind of what we say. Like, in restaurants, we like, heat it for service. But yeah, that's one way. You can pan fry in butter for like 4 minutes on each side and check for doneness, like I said, by sticking a fork in it. And if it flakes, then it's pretty done. And when you butter fry, this is great. You take the salmon out of the pan, and then so you have all these like salmon bits and like the butter in the pan still. You just squeeze a lemon in that, mix it up a little bit, and there's like a lemon butter sauce. Boom. Sauce is done, y'all. So I used to be on Twitch with my friend Justin Warner. He had a show called Chef Shock. Some of you might have seen it. Some of you might have even, you know, watched it. But he had a recipe on there for pan-fried salmon where he took the skin off and crisped it separately we put tartar sauce on the skin and then put it back on as if we never took it off. So it was really fun. It's great, great, great. Horseradish tartar sauce, I think is what he did. Another thing you can do is steam it. So you can steam in either in a wax paper or parchment paper. You can like you take a paper and fold it in half and then like crimp the edges like an empanada. And that method is called empapayot. It's like a French term. You can do that, or you can use a bamboo steamer brushed with oil, or line it with cabbage leaves. That's a trick I use to make sure dumplings don't stick to my bamboo steamer. Like, just put a bunch of cabbage leaves down and great. My rice cooker has an insert so I can steam things while rice is cooking. Hell yeah. So if you're gonna steam salmon, do it for 8 to 10 minutes. And then finally, it's just very close to the pan frying. You can butter poach salmon. So it's similar to the frying method. It just takes a little bit longer and it's at lower heat, like even lower heat. So it comes out really soft and I know I keep saying it, but it's buttery. You basically melt a half stick of butter per pound of salmon in a pan. And then you tilt the pan and just spoon butter over it. You baste it for like 4 or 5 minutes. And then flip it over and then like keep basting the butter for like 4 or 5 minutes. I know, it's a lot of work, but it's also very luxurious. Butter likes butter, I guess, right? Oh, shoot. Oh, bye, Matt. Sorry. See you later. Talk to you later. Yeah. So I keep mentioning that salmon, you can flake it. So if you don't finish the salmon fillet, you can like flake it for later. So the flaking is just like running your fork through it. You can have the leftovers in a salad. You can make like salmon salad, you know, like chicken salad. You can mix it with mayonnaise and like a chopped up pickle. You can have it on bagels. It's really good cold and on crackers, like with just more butter and crackers. I know this sounds terrible. I keep saying butter. And another easy thing to do whenever you have any leftover cooked fish, you can mash it up and then put it in a ramekin and then put melted butter over that with like a little bit of salt and chives. And that is salmon rillettes, which is like a fish pate. Easy, right? Cool. If you want to look at the salmon again. So this is what it looks like. I think half of this would be a fillet. This is like, I don't know what cut this is called. Because like a half of a fish is called a side. And then like a small baby is called a fillet. What is this? I don't know. I'll have to look it up. But anyway. That is all about salmon fillet, y'all. How we doing? How we doing in the chat? We alright? Cool. So we're at the portion of the stream where we do the like, we're pretending we're on Iron Chef and Chopped. So if you're in the chat, start typing some ingredients and we're gonna mash them up together. Everyone can participate. You can name some ingredients or like help me come up with ways that we can combine them. I'm gonna put an egg on me while we wait. Let me know what kinds of ingredients we wanna mash up today. Hi! Omelette says hi! Hi! Hi, everybody! Please submit an ingredient! Alright, chat, let's do this. Anchovies. Emily's giving us anchovies. Hi, Wes! We got oranges, peanut butter, figs, and anchovies. Okay, let's go. All right. Starting off, peanut butter and anchovy is a great curry base. Oranges and anchovy are delicious on a pincho, which is a skewer in Spain, with a little bite of olive also. So olive, anchovy, and orange is delicious together. Figs. Huh. We can dry the figs. Make a fig jam. We can make peanut butter cookies with like a little thumbprint fig jam in the middle. Wouldn't that be cute? With like orange zest? Oh, I love that. We could do like a savory, oh shoot. What if we did the ovenly peanut butter cookie and instead of salt we use anchovy? That'd be messed up and so good. I literally think peanut butter is good with most things. It'd be like a curry cookie, right? Like a fishy peanut butter cookie. If we added like pickled Thai chili to the top, that'd be ridiculous. I know. I had a spoonful of peanut butter yesterday, like I was in kindergarten again. I forgot that was like a thing I did growing up. Just like go to the pantry, get a really big glob of it, and then walk away with like the peanut butter still coming out of my mouth and like the spoon like sticking out. My mom would get so mad at me. She'd be like, "You're going to hit the spoon on the wall and like hurt yourself." I'm like, "No." Oh yeah, with some of my curry infused salt. Totally. What else? Figs. Let me think about figs here. So I've seen like wine poached figs. We could do a fig and orange sangria. Emily says, same between me and my brothers. We were animals with the peanut butter jar and the spoon. Yes. I mean, thank goodness my brother and I were not allergic to peanuts when we were little. We could do poached figs. We could do... What else? Trying to think. Anchovies, orange, peanut butter, and figs. Peanut butter can become a satay sauce, so we could do like grilled figs or like burnt orange, and then have like a peanut butter satay sauce. Spicy. We could do fruity like, we could do crispy like wonton cup things with the orange and figs with like a peanut butter glaze. We could do fried anchovies with an orange sauce, like a spicy orange sauce, like a duck sauce. We could dehydrate the peanut butter. I forget what chemical you use to dehydrate peanut butter. It becomes like a powder. But we could do orange slices dipped in chocolate and then like, or dipped also in orange powder. We can dehydrate the figs, rehydrate them in orange juice, which is totally messing with your mind. So when you bite into the fig, it's like orange flavored. Right? Yeah. All right. Does anyone else have another ingredient? Maybe we'll throw in another wild card. This is fun. I love this. That deserves a drum fill. Anyone else have any ideas? It's okay, we don't have to. That was already good. Do a savory peanut butter cookie. I might try that. What is everybody gonna have for dinner? I haven't really decided. I think I need to use up my pesto. You have a ton of Brussels sprouts. You know, one of my favorite Brussels sprout recipes is from a restaurant called the Vanderbilt, and it's in Prospect Heights, and I think their recipe is online. So if you Google Brussels sprouts and Vanderbilt, you'll find it. And you might have all the stuff, I think. I don't know. But yeah, Brussels sprout, like, I love it when you roast Brussels sprouts and you get those, like, chippy ones that fall off. Like, those are my favorite parts of it. What else, friends? Oh, should we use Brussels sprouts in our peanut butter? What else? Figs, peanut butter, orange, anchovy, Brussels sprouts. So I know Brussels sprouts and anchovy already go together. That's great. Have orange zest on top. Ooh. Yeah, roast some Brussels sprouts. And then, yeah. Mash up the anchovy with a little garlic. Toss it in the Brussels sprouts. And then finish it with some orange zest. Oh, one of my favorite Brussels sprout dishes. You shave them with a mandolin or just cut them like really thinly and massage them a little bit with some olive oil. And then orange walnuts and some pepperoni cheese is a great salad. So for the purpose of this mashup, you do shaved Brussels sprouts, orange, bits of fig, and if we dehydrated the peanut butter, you know, we could have like peanut dust. And we dried the anchovy, mashed it up there too. Anchovy and peanut butter dried up and made a crumble together. Oh, snap. Yeah, that sounds good. Love it. Yeah, those are a lot of good ideas. Thank you, everybody. Does anyone else have any quick cooking questions for today? Let's put on bass. So friends, what did we talk about today? We talked about tamarind for a while. We talked about what to do with pasta water, like why do you keep pasta water and what else can you do with it. And then we went deep on some salmon fillets for Carol. Yeah, and that was a really fun exercise. Thank you for telling me some ingredients in the chat. So next week, I'm catering or hosting a cook-along for the Tank Gala on Tuesday night. So if you're interested in that, head to twitter.com/thetanknyc, or you can head to my Twitter, which is below. It's Randwiches. I've been tweeting about the gala all week. I've been preparing my segment. It's been really fun. We're gonna make pancit, which is a stir-fried noodle salad, and a lot of other really delicious things. I'll be back next week, May 20th, with another all-egg episode. I do need, like, maybe one or two more egg questions. If you have any in the chat, I'll add it to that stream next week. And then on May 27th, we're going to go back to the ingredients with Spam and tofu so far. We could use one or two more recipes to dive into or ingredients you want to learn more about. Just let me know either in the chat or on Twitter or via email. My email is just randwiches@gmail.com. Yeah. Cool. So let me know what you think. Hopefully I'll see you next week. And I hope you all have a good rest of the week. Hang in there. I like you. And if you have any more cooking questions or anything that comes up while you're cooking, like, feel free to DM me, hit me up. I am here for you. Hooray. But thanks for hanging out. I'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.